Hello and welcome to the Business English Podcast. I'm Rob, and today we're talking about something we all face at some point in our careers: delivering difficult feedback. How do you tell a coworker or even a boss that they're missing the mark without sounding rude or confrontational? Before we dive into the how, let me introduce you to a man named Charlie. Some of you may already know him. Charlie is a talented analyst from Spain working in a busy London office. He loves the fast-paced environment, the diverse team, and the exciting challenges of international business. But there's one situation that fills him with dread: giving sensitive feedback to his colleagues. Last week, Charlie was assigned to work on a new marketing campaign with a team member named Sarah. He noticed Sarah had been consistently overlooking critical data points, but he struggled to address it, especially in English, where he doesn't feel fully confident. He worried about using the wrong words, sounding too direct, or risking an awkward confrontation. The result? A tense atmosphere amongst the team and a campaign that didn't quite hit the mark. Sound familiar? Maybe you've been in Charlie's shoes, hesitant to speak up, unsure how to phrase things, or anxious about causing offense. And yet, giving clear, constructive feedback is crucial if we want our teams and projects to excel. So, how do we find the right balance between honesty and diplomacy? Well, that's exactly what we're exploring in this episode. We'll uncover the key strategies you can use to navigate these delicate conversations, plus 5 practical phrases you'll want to memorize and master. If you've ever wondered how to tackle these tricky moments without damaging relationships or losing face, stay tuned, because we'll be getting into that and much more. Ready to handle those uncomfortable chats with clarity and poise? Keep listening, and by the end of this episode, you'll have a toolkit of phrases and techniques to transform tough feedback into productive dialogue. Let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Business English Podcast, helping professionals communicate more effectively, more confidently, and with impact. With your host, Rob, from Energetic English. Let's get down to business. So now we're going to dive into why delivering difficult feedback is such a critical skill, especially if English isn't your first language. Think about it. When a project starts going off track or a colleague is underperforming, who usually steps in? And how do they do it? The way you handle that conversation can make or break team morale, project success, and even your own professional image. If you're too blunt, you risk damaging relationships. But if you skirt around the issue, no improvement ever happens. So why is nailing this skill so vital? Well, firstly, it boosts your credibility. People respect colleagues who can communicate clearly and address issues head-on without pointing fingers or causing drama. Second, it fosters a healthier work environment. Constructive feedback is like oxygen for a team. It keeps everyone growing and moving in the right direction. And third, it's a massive confidence booster. Once you know how to tackle tough topics in a calm, professional way, you'll feel ready for bigger challenges, presentations, negotiations, maybe even a promotion. So let's look at a few scenarios. Imagine you're leading a virtual global team, and one member consistently delivers work late. Calling them out bluntly might lead to tension and resentment. But a well-structured, diplomatic approach can open a dialogue about potential hurdles. Maybe they're struggling with time zone differences or unclear instructions, while preserving that all-important trust. Or take the case where your manager overlooks some crucial detail in a report. It's tricky enough giving feedback to a peer, but a superior? That's a whole different ballgame. Delivering tough feedback diplomatically helps you voice concerns without sounding insubordinate, something that can keep your working relationship positive and professional. These situations come up more often than we'd like to admit, and they can be especially challenging for non-native speakers. The last thing you want is to phrase something poorly or use the wrong tone and inadvertently damage your reputation. But don't worry, later in this episode, I'll share a step-by-step method and 5 phrases to help you navigate these landmines smoothly. That way, you can tackle any awkward conversation with confidence. Ready to discover exactly how to form your feedback from the opening lines to the final takeaway? In just a moment, we'll get into the nuts and bolts of delivering feedback that's both constructive and considerate. Stay tuned, because once you master these techniques, you'll never have to panic about giving tough feedback again. Now that we've explored why this skill is so essential, let's look at exactly how to deliver sensitive feedback in a confident and considerate way. First, here's a quick structure to guide your feedback. Number 1. Start by acknowledging or appreciating the other person's effort. 2. Gently introduce the concern you need to address. And thirdly, end by suggesting or discussing a way forward together. Simple, right? But the real magic lies in the phrases we choose. Before I share 5 powerful phrases, a quick heads up. If you want more professional resources and even a transcript of a podcast episode, sign up for our weekly newsletter, the 3-Minute Minutes. It's packed with bite-sized tips to sharpen your business communication skills. You'll find the link in the show notes. Alright, let's dive into those phrases. I'll say each one twice so you can repeat after me and practice your pronunciation. Number 1. I understand that this might be difficult to hear, but... I understand this might be difficult to hear, but... Scenario. Imagine you're giving feedback to a colleague who spent a lot of time on a project but overlooked a crucial detail. You want to show empathy while still being upfront about the issue. Notice the phrase, might be difficult to hear. It softens the message by acknowledging the emotional impact on the listener. Using but here signals that important information is coming. When you use this phrase, keep your tone calm and steady. Rushing through it can sound insincere. Number 2. I appreciate your hard work. However, repeat after me. I appreciate your hard work. However, scenario. A team member has worked long hours but missed certain quality standards. You don't want to downplay their effort, yet you must highlight the gap. Here, I appreciate, followed by however, transitions smoothly from praise to the constructive point. Emphasize appreciate to show genuine recognition, but be careful. Overusing however can sound formal and distant. Use it sparingly and with a polite, steady tone. Phrase 3. One area we could focus on improving is... Scenario. You're doing a performance review and need to address a persistent issue, like missed deadlines or communication lapses. This phrase turns a criticism into a shared goal. You're not saying, you need to fix this. Instead, you're inviting collaboration. The word focus is less harsh than fix or correct, and it suggests a positive angle. Moving forward, you're both concentrating on better results. Phrase 4. Could you help me understand how we might address... Repeat after me. Could you help me understand how we might address... Scenario. You notice a recurring problem with a partner's client reports. Rather than dictating the solution, you're inviting them to share their perspective. The phrase, could you help me understand, is an excellent way to encourage dialogue. It shifts the feedback session from a one-way lecture to a two-way conversation. Also, using we or us creates a sense of partnership, which can ease tension. Phrase 5. Let's work together to find a better approach moving forward. Repeat after me. Let's work together to find a better approach moving forward. Scenario. Wrapping up a tough conversation, you want to confirm your commitment to a positive outcome. It could be after discussing repeated absenteeism or a dip in sales performance. This phrase emphasizes together and moving forward, showing you're not here to dwell on past mistakes, but to collaborate on improvements. That future-focused language is reassuring and constructive, perfect for ending on a high note. Now you have a versatile toolkit for those tricky feedback moments. But how do you make sure you're not stumbling into common pitfalls or accidentally offending someone? Stay with me because in the next section, we'll cover typical errors people make when delivering hard feedback and how to avoid them. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. So, we've just covered some game-changing phrases for delivering difficult feedback. Now it's time to talk about the pitfalls, those hidden traps that can turn an honest attempt at constructive criticism into a tense standoff. But first, let's start with the common errors. Number 1, being too blunt. Rather obviously, when you say something like, "You messed up" or "this is wrong," it can feel confrontational and put the other person on the defensive. Remember, tone matters just as much as words. 2. Negative tone. Even if your words are polite, a harsh or impatient tone can undermine your message. Try to keep your voice calm and measured. Imagine you're having a friendly coffee chat, not a heated debate. 3. Avoiding the issue. On the flip side, not addressing problems at all can leave misunderstandings to fester, which often leads to bigger problems down the line. 4. Over-apologizing. Sometimes non-native speakers worry about coming across as rude, so they sprinkle "I'm sorry" too liberally. Ironically, this can weaken your message or make you seem unsure of yourself. Confidently acknowledging issues is far more effective than repeatedly apologizing for bringing them up. Now, here are 4 tips to transform your feedback style from shaky to sharp. Number 1, use the sandwich method, a glorious method that is embraced worldwide on the business stage. And it goes something like this. Start with something positive. Insert your constructive point and wrap up with a motivational note. This helps keep the conversation balanced and the recipient more receptive. Number 2, check your tone. Record yourself practicing if you can. Hearing your own voice, even just a short snippet, can reveal moments where you sound abrupt or unsure. Small adjustments can make a huge difference in how your feedback is perceived. Number 3, be specific. Vague statements like, "You need to do better," don't help anyone. Instead, pinpoint exactly what needs improvement. "I noticed your data analysis missed key metrics on performance tracking," for example. And number 4, cultural sensitivity. Different cultures have different norms for how direct or indirect feedback should be. If you're working in a multicultural environment, do a little research on local communication styles. It shows respect and can save you from major misunderstandings. Coming up next, I'll wrap things up with a quick summary and a final thought on how to embed these techniques into your daily routine. So don't go anywhere, because once you see how easy it is to practice these skills, you'll wonder how you ever managed without them. Thanks for joining me on today's episode of the Business English Podcast. We've been talking all about delivering difficult feedback. We explored the importance of handling these moments diplomatically, walked through 5 powerful phrases with a little bit of nuance, and learned how to avoid common pitfalls. Feeling more confident about your next tough conversation? Great, because real progress starts when you put these skills into practice. If you want an easy way to stay on track, remember to check out our free weekly newsletter, The 3-Minute Minutes, where you'll find bite-sized tips and resources to keep sharpening your business English skills. That's it for today. I'm Rob, wishing you productive, diplomatic, and successful conversations in English. Until next time, keep it strictly business.